see if I can start this. Well, hello, ice sports fans, and welcome to This Week on the Ice. Today is November 23rd, Sunday, and we got a lot to cover today.
Oh, we sure do.
We
It's
do.
been a busy week.
We had those audio difficulties last week. We apologize if you were trying to watch last week and couldn't listen. It drove me crazy trying to hear.
It did me as well. So we're going to cover a lot of the stuff that we did last week, as well as some of the new things that are going on this week. And boy, there's lots of stuff.
It is. I mean, we're getting in full swing with hockey.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's lead off with a big story this last week. On Monday was the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Scheels IcePlex. And what an exciting day that was.
Yeah, it sure was. They had a lot of people, some great stars of hockey out here, and just a really feel-good day out here at the IcePlex.
Well, it was a huge crowd, and I don't recall who it was that said it was the second largest ribbon cutting they've ever had. Because and it was eclipsed only by
the Denny?
The Denny, so by the Premier Center. So hockey really draws the ribbon cuttings. We're really thrilled about that. On hand for that, there was Jack O'Callahan of the 1980 Olympic Team USA, the Miracle Team, Miracle on Ice team.
Great player.
And what a nice guy. I had a chance to visit with him. What a great guy. He also played for the Chicago Blackhawks and the New Jersey Devils. And he now works on behalf of the Chicago Blackhawks Alumni Association.
So he's got a lot of Chicago ties, which almost brings him local here. I mean, you don't get much closer in the Midwest than Chicago, Minneapolis.
That's right. Yeah, and also on hand was Jeremy Roenick.
My man.
Your man. He also played for Team USA several times. But I thought what was really impressive, he played for 5 teams over the course of 18 NHL seasons.
Long career, storied career.
Long and storied career. And that's what earned him his role as the NBC color commentator for hockey.
And he's great at that. I love listening to him. Don't always agree with him, but I like listening to him.
Well, I can't remember. I had a quote from someone that I every once in a while will tweet out, and it's I couldn't hear him because of the rings in my ears, the hockey rings. I'm trying to remember the Stanley Cup rings in my ears.
There you go.
And that was a response to Jeremy Roenick from a little spat he had back in the 80s. So he had a little fun. And both he and O'Callahan were inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2010. So they were some nice dignitaries to have here. Got a chance to visit with both of them. Great guys. And also in attendance, of course, were city dignitaries, chamber dignitaries, and all of the founders, co-founders and organizers of the Ice Sports Association. Ben Graham was the master of ceremonies, if you didn't get to see it. Greg Starnes spoke briefly, and of course so did Joe Zuger. And then what was really cool was when they named the South rink the Zuger Family Leadership Rink. That was really cool.
What a great touch.
And then let's look a little bit, what else happened this weekend? We had the senior showcase in Brookings. Boy, I wanted to get over for that.
Yeah, I didn't as well, but those things always have a great turnout. They're always a lot of fun for the seniors. And it's usually a couple hours of skills competition, and then they split all the seniors up into a few teams, and then they play each other and just have a good time. It's more about getting to know each other and some camaraderie as opposed to competition.
Yeah, and I think they gave out skills awards this morning during the breakfast, and then they had scrimmages throughout today as well. So it would have been nice to be over there. It's getting to that time of year, holiday preparations. So let's give a recap on some of the things that we talked about last week. I want to make sure we cover some of that. We talked a little bit about the Try Hockey for Free and how popular those have been across the state the last few weeks. And we talked about this too. If you're going to grow a sport, you really have to reach down to those younger ages, don't you, Randy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where it all starts. Go back to my son. My son started playing hockey at 5 years old. Saw some players with some jerseys coming out of the old barn over there at the fairgrounds when he was out playing winter soccer. And he said, "Mom, what's that?" Mom, of course, said, nothing you want to know about. But he fell in love with hockey, made me really fall in love with hockey as well. And it's just kind of a family deal.
And hockey is such an easy game to fall in love with, isn't it?
It sure is.
It really is. Well, the Try Hockey for Free events and things like that to help get kids on the ice, part of those are made possible with help from that Pro Hockey Celebrity Hunt that happened last weekend in Mitchell and in Huron. And they had, and if you're not familiar with the Pro Hockey Celebrity Hunt, it's a fundraising event. It includes a hunt with hockey celebrities. We had celebrities galore in South Dakota last week.
Huge numbers.
They had Dave Christian there.
Okay.
For last weekend's event.
Dave Christian, one of my favorite hockey names. The family, I think Dave played on the 1980 Olympic team, if I remember
Yes, he
right.
did.
And he's also the family that owns Christian Brothers Sticks up in the northernmost part of Minnesota.
So this is a little shout out for them. Maybe we can get a stick autograph by
You
Dave.
never know. Never know.
Never know. Guy Goslin was there, two-time Olympian, and he was on 3 U.S. national teams. Brian Burke, the president of hockey operations for the Calgary Flames, was there. He's one of the few celebrities that was in attendance at that event that wasn't from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Mike Lodish, a retired NFL, that's an F, not an H, a retired NFL player who played for the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos was there. Jason Blake played for 4 different NHL teams, and most recently for the Anaheim Ducks. Who doesn't know about the Mighty Ducks, right?
Quack, quack.
And you know what? He's not ready to hang up his skates yet. He's 41 years old. He's ready to keep going. He's a free agent now. Also there, Sandy Smith, who played for the University of Minnesota Duluth, drafted by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Go Penguins. I've got some old family ties to Pittsburgh, Randy. You're going to have to let me go. And we won't even talk NFL.
Okay, that's good.
Bob Stauber, a goaltender who's drafted by the Kings, by the Kings in '86, and then a Wisconsinite, Steve Strunk.
Okay.
So they had a whole lineup there.
Well, that's a lot of celebrities, but that's what that event's all about. Getting out there and hunting with the celebrities.
Yeah, and they have meals, and they have auctions, they have all kinds of different things going on, raffles, and then they raise money for their foundation, for the Sam Tronis Memorial Foundation. And last year, or actually this year, just this year alone already, the Sam Tronis Memorial Foundation has given $14,000 in scholarships to hockey players.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
And it's all made possible by that celebrity hunt.
That's great.
And they've also given $10,000 in scholarships to associations to help them with programs for players 8 and younger, like the Try Hockey for Free type programs. So that kind of gets us a little more caught up. By the way, Dave Tronis told us that they had 60 hunters there last weekend.
Wow.
Good number of hunters.
That's a good number.
And I think they all came away with some. I think they won. Hunters, I don't know how many, but
who knows?
the birds. But anyway, we don't have a final tally on that fundraising, but we'll be watching for that.
Right.
So that brings us up to our youth hockey. Let's find out what's happening across the state.
Lots and lots of stuff. This is getting into the season.
Yes, it is. It is. Aberdeen Cougars. We'll start off with the Cougars up in Aberdeen. Last weekend, the boys varsity hosted Mitchell in an exhibition game. Spit that out if I can. Exhibition game.
That works.
This week, the players have been getting in the groove with their regular training, and they're getting ready for high school hockey.
Wow. That's only a few days away.
I can't wait. I'm excited. The Brandon Valley Ice Cats, of course, they've been enjoying the ice here at the Scheels IcePlex. And they also have, I'm not sure how many other programs have an outdoor rink that they're using.
Exclusively, they're the only one in the state. There's a few other associations that do have some outdoor ice, but not as their only facility.
Yeah, that's their home ice.
Yeah.
But they're also, now that the Scheels IcePlex is here, there's enough space that they can also practice here. So they've been training here.
And I heard they're getting ready to do some fundraising and putting together the possibility of building their own sheet over there.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one. That's great news.
Yeah, that is great news.
Great news. We'll have to watch for that.
Absolutely.
Well, best of luck to you guys on that. Keep us posted. A couple weeks ago, they did scrimmage, their GHL guys scrimmage with the Squirts and the Pee-wees, and they have some great photos on their Facebook page. If you get a chance to check those out. And from what I understand, the big guys went easy on the little ones.
Good.
Let's look a little over east here at Brookings Rangers.
Okay.
Their younger teams have been attending some tournaments already, and they're getting ready to host their first Pee-wee tournament the weekend of December 5th.
Wow, that's coming up too.
It is. The tournaments are starting. Well, we had the Mitchell tournament this weekend. Well, we're going to talk about a few more too. But you know what? I think this is a good time for us to take a little break and recognize and thank our sponsor.
Hockey Headquarters, assisting all your goals. Visit them today at thehockeyheadquarters.com.
All right, well, here we're back, and we'll continue on with our youth hockey roundup.
Here we go.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's round them up. The Huron All-Stars, their JV and varsity All-Stars were in Pierre last weekend. They had the home-and-home preseason series with the Oahe Capitals. And this week, the All-Stars have been practicing, and according to their website, they are looking for some coaches. So if you're interested, please contact them through the website. That's the Huron All-Stars Hockey. If you can't find them, get in touch with us here at Hockey 605.
What a storied program over there in Huron.
Yes.
That's one of the historic programs in the state, along with Watertown. They've been around a long time, and they're having a few issues with numbers over there. But I tell you what, it's a great program, and if you want to help out, there's not a better way you can do it than by coaching.
And to be a part of the history of hockey in the Huron would be an honor for anyone. So I would encourage anyone that's interested, strap on a pair of skates and get out on the ice with those kids. It'd be a blast.
There you go.
Let's head a little bit north here. Let's go take a look at Mitchell. Last Saturday, the Mitchell Marlins had their Planet Hockey Skills Clinic. They do that in conjunction with the Pro Hockey Hunt.
Okay.
So they did that. Their girls JV side last weekend were in Sioux Center for the girls JV preseason jamboree. And I think I told you earlier, my nephew Wyatt was in Mitchell this weekend. He was there with his Oahe Capitals team for the Pee Wee tournament.
Okay.
I haven't heard back on how everything went.
So you're expecting a call any minute?
Yeah, I know that they lost one yesterday. They won one this morning, so I'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
Over in Mitchell, their older players are getting ready for their high school program to kick off. And speaking of the Oahe Capitals, they are in full swing as well. Last weekend, of course, their JV and varsity hosted the Huron All-Stars. Mentioned that already. This weekend, the Lady Caps hosted a pair of preseason games with the Rushmore Thunder coming into the Expo Center. Have you been to that Expo Center? It's actually in Fort Pierre.
In Fort Pierre? Oh, yeah, many times. A couple of different state tournaments, and then a lot of league games over there over the years. What a nice facility. They did a really nice job. 2 sheets of ice there, a full regulation size one. And then off to the north, just this little tiny rink that's just good. And you'll go there for a game, and there'll be kids skating on that north rink. It's really good.
It is a nice facility, and I hear they've been doing some renovations. I'm eager to get back there again.
And they also, I saw something, I think it was on the... I don't even know what you call it, the blog that's out there about South Dakota hockey, that the Pierre Oahe team has signed a contract for a while to rent ice from the figure skating community. They've got a sheet of ice that sits up by Walmart up on the hill in Pierre. That it's a private sheet of ice that somebody put in, and it's up year-round. They shut their expo building down for the summer for their fair, of course. And then when they're not they don't have ice there, they do have the ice available up on top of the hill. So that's very, very cool for Pierre.
That is really nice. You know, and speaking of their getting ice from the figure skating, I hear the figure skating program needs a boost in Pierre, so hopefully they can get things moving forward there.
Absolutely.
Getting back with the CAP teams, 4 other CAPS teams hit the road this weekend. Of course, the JV team played in Watertown in the preseason festival they had there.
Okay.
Both of their Pee Wee teams opened their seasons in Mitchell this weekend. And then their Squirt A team played their first games of the season in Rapid City. We'll talk about that tournament here. With the Rushmore Thunder.
Just a lot of activity there.
I know. If you had a helicopter, you could enjoy a lot of hockey. I've often wanted a helicopter so I can cover our sports.
Just a pilot's license. Just let me get where I need to get.
Maybe I can get FedEx to drop me. I think those little helicopters maybe can't hold this much weight. So, talking about Rapid City, last weekend the Rushmore Thunder hosted some exhibition games. Then they had Billings, Montana, and Casper, Wyoming in, which is a nice benefit when you're on that side of the state to see some other competition. And then this weekend they did host their first tournament of the year. It was a Squirt A tournament. I haven't heard any results from that yet, or the Mitchell tournament. We'll have to get those gathered up and get those on Hockey 605 for you. And then the Rushmore Thunder varsity and JV girls, of course, traveled to Pierre to play the Oahe girls yesterday and this morning. So They've been busy.
So lots of activity, and this is, for the most of these teams, this is all still pre-season.
Yes.
Because the league season doesn't start till this weekend.
Well, you got to get ready.
Wow.
You want to, when the league is in full swing, you want to come out with your best, right?
Absolutely.
So
every game counts.
And everybody's been so anxious and eager for hockey to start, so you can't wait any longer. You just got to do what you can do to get on that ice and get some competition.
There you go.
Friendly competition.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Sioux Falls Flyers, of course, they were out in full force on Monday for that Scheels IcePlex ribbon cutting ceremony.
Right.
Largest crowd anybody can remember there. That was awesome. And then, of course, up in Watertown, the Lakers hosted the boys JV Jamboree this weekend. So
now the only thing I heard about that tournament that was posted on the Flyers Facebook page today, that the Sioux Falls JV team was in the championship game today.
Oh, okay.
And
good.
that's the first time a Sioux Falls JV team has been in that level of competition for quite a while. So that's kind of cool.
Good.
Yeah.
And people often think that, well, Sioux Falls, the bigger towns, they're going to have an advantage. But what they don't realize is that if you're in a smaller town, all the talent is on one team.
Yeah.
But when you get into Sioux Falls, they're split into two different teams.
Split them up, yeah. And there's a whole, I don't need to get into the whole diatribe about how Sioux Falls is different from, say, Mitchell or Huron, but it's just a whole different world.
Yeah.
And the good news is that now with this facility, the one that we're sitting in right now, we should see hockey numbers grow like crazy here in Sioux Falls.
Well, if the parking lot is any indication...
there was no place to park when I got here.
I know. It's those figure skaters. They're here just before
I know they were having their
their
Mite Jamboree here, in-house league stuff going on here today. And they actually called me to come in and announce all the players and give them their jerseys for the preseason.
Awesome.
So yeah, kind
That's
of fun.
great. And I don't mind it one bit when that parking lot's full. Well, as long as it's not snowing and I have to. But when I pull in and I see it's full, that just makes me smile. I know the ice is full, and so. Oh, we still got a few more teams here that we need to follow up with. The Watertown Lakers, we talked about them hosting the boys JV Jamboree this weekend.
Right.
And last but not least, we have the Yankton Miracle.
Go Miracle.
The Yankton Miracle girls JV are off to a great start. Last weekend they beat Sioux Center 2-1 and Watertown 2-1 at the Sioux Center girls JV Jamboree. And then they had some of their younger Miracle teams in Mitchell this weekend for the Pee Wee tournament. And their JV boys were up in Watertown. So everybody's starting to get back together and the mix is all happening.
Really looking forward to seeing some games with Yankton this year and their first foray into boys varsity.
Yeah, that's
It
exciting.
should be a good time.
That's really good news.
Yeah.
And I seem to have missed getting my Sioux Center news, and I apologize, Sioux Center folks. Will get that in there for next week. So that gives us a cover of what's happening across the state the last couple of weeks for the youth hockey. Coming up this weekend, we have the annual Rooster Cup, and that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Aberdeen, Watertown, Brookings, and Huron. And all of the teams will be in Huron on Saturday. So that's I'm really looking forward to catching some of that.
I got a chance to see the schedule. It looks like it's going to be a really good time. A lot of fun tournaments.
Yeah, and I had the schedule, and I wound up leaving it sitting on my table. And I was going to tell people what we had, but I left it sitting by my computer. Anyway, that's going to be exciting. Exciting to have the Rooster tournament up and going again. And then the varsity games begin this weekend on a very limited schedule with the girls.
The girls
start. I think we'll see a big increase in activity next weekend, of course. And then the full schedule will come to life the second weekend of December, and we'll be hitting it hard until the boys varsity plays out in Brookings mid-February.
Yeah, I got a chance to take a look at kind of the overlay of all the league games this year, as my son's trying to schedule his refereeing habit that he has. And there are a couple of days coming up in I think in that weekend you were talking about, that second weekend in December, there are almost 60 or 70 league games in one day.
Wow.
Kind of all over the state.
Oh, wow. That's like going into a candy store and having 100 flavors of chocolate.
No, absolutely.
Oh, that's going to be great. It's exciting. Well, before we move on to the next phase, I think it's time to thank our sponsors and show a little appreciation.
There we go.
Hockey Headquarters, assisting all your goals. Visit them today at thehockeyheadquarters.com.
All right, so we're back, and it's now time to talk junior hockey.
Yeah.
As well as many, many other, gracious, many other things that we've got going on in the world of juniors and college, in particular to South Dakota hockey. First of all, a couple of weeks back we talked about all of the boys that have turned into men and are playing Tier 1 through Tier 3 junior hockey around the upper Midwest. We found 2 additional ones that we didn't know about that first night. The first one is Matt Eng. Matt is from Brookings. I remember watching him play many times up there for the Rangers. He is in Weyburn, Saskatchewan, playing for the Red Wings.
Up north.
Way up north.
Way up north.
That team is a Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League Tier 1 Junior A team. Or excuse me, a Tier 2 Junior A team.
Tier 2?
As of last weekend, he'd played in 20 games, has 9 points, 5 goals and 4 assists, and is tied for 5th place in scoring on his team.
Outstanding.
According to Noel, who's running around here someplace, he is a D1 college hockey prospect, and there's a lot of teams that are looking at him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with those kind of stats already.
That's great, and that's once again that's great for Sioux Falls, great for South Dakota hockey. And then another player that we mentioned the previous week, and that's Alex Meyer. Alex is, of course, out in Billings, Montana, playing for the Bulls. He actually started in goal last night, and I was talking to Kelly, his mom, on the internet again last night, and she said that don't know what happened. The team that he was playing against last night had his number, and so they pulled him after a period and a quarter. And the team did go on, the Bulls did go on to win the game, but Alex was a little bit down about that. But you know what? Go Alex, you're going to have a good time. Just remember that last game you played the previous weekend where you started in goal and took a 3-1 win and stopped 25 of 26 shots. That's the Alex Meyer that I remember.
After a car accident.
After a car accident, that's right. And his mom's quote from my conversation, it means a lot to Alex that people in South Dakota are keeping track of him. We were a little worried going into the game. He was unfortunately involved in a car accident this afternoon. That was last Thursday in Billings. Glad he was able to have a good game. Hope he won't be too sore.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Oh, Alex, you mean a lot to us too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wishing nothing but the best up there, bud.
Yeah, certainly.
And I think we've got a few other South Dakota players up there with the Bulls. We'll have to double check on that.
Yeah, we'll have to double check. Oh well, yeah, we do. TJ Theodosopoulos plays for the Bulls.
Theodosopoulos is there.
So, and he's scoring a lot of goals. He was actually the #1 star last night in the game.
He was?
Yeah.
Outstanding.
So yeah, go TJ.
Wow, that's great. Well, I'm gonna have to. Got another nephew that used to play hockey. The first hockey game I ever went to, he was a goalie.
Okay.
Back a long time ago. He now lives in Billings. I'm gonna have to tell him to go up there and watch Alex for us.
And that that
And
whole
TJ.
North American 3 League that they've got, that the Billings teams and a lot of the Montana teams play in, a lot of good competition. These are kids that are trying to get to Tier 2 hockey, trying to get to the North American Hockey League, and on to college, and it's just good competition.
Yeah.
Good competition.
That's great. Well, South Dakota continues to make its mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the ways that South Dakota is really making a mark right now is in women's hockey, women's college hockey. And really, that all started several years ago with Noel.
Yes.
Noel Needham, who's actually in one of the rinks here tonight doing a clinic. That's what she does.
Well, and Noel was the first D1, and so far,
the only
D1.
The only D1 college hockey player from South Dakota. She grew up on her dad's ranch and farm up in Brookings. Went to Shattuck St. Mary's, I think, through her high school years, and then ended up playing for the Gophers, the Gophers women team. And I think she may have, probably knowing the Gophers, she probably has a national championship ring someplace. Because those Lady Gophers are something else.
Yeah, and Shattuck is a great program.
Oh, absolutely.
For hockey and for soccer, they do got a lot of national champions that come out of there.
Yeah, and we have now another girl from South Dakota who's actually playing in Division III NCAA, and that is Kayla Knack.
Okay.
Hi, Kayla. Kayla is from Sioux Falls, and she's playing for Concordia, Minnesota, the Cobblers.
Cobblers or Cobbers?
Cobbers.
I think it's Cobbers.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
it is the Cobbers. I'm not sure where that came from.
Well, it's easy.
It's called a typo.
Yeah.
Okay. But she also is kind of following in the footsteps of another South Dakota girl by the name of Abby Taffy, who about 4 or 5 years ago graduated from Aberdeen and was really a superstar on the Aberdeen girls team. And I do remember when she committed to going up there, it was kind of a big deal for South Dakota.
Okay. So Abby was also at Concordia.
Abby was at Concordia. She's now out on the West Coast at optometry school.
Oh, wow.
So once again, hi Abby if you're watching.
Shout out to both.
Yeah, there we go. And probably the most interesting story that I've got in women's hockey is Midland University down in Fremont, Nebraska. The Midland University Warriors are in their first year as having a college hockey program. And it's a club program. It's I don't remember the exact division that they're in, but it is a big deal. Mm-hmm. But there are 5 South Dakota girls. 5 South Dakota girls, absolutely.
That's awesome.
On that team. We have Jessica Sandahl. She's from here in Sioux Falls. Yep. Plays defense, actually from Hartford, I should say. Played for the Flyers. Mm-hmm. We have Shelby Bjorky, who is a sophomore. Played for the All-Stars in Huron. Mm-hmm. And then we have, Tracy Corcoran.
Yep.
She's from Fort Pierre, or actually from Pierre, excuse me. Played for the Wahi Caps and also plays forward. Moving on, we have Jessie Laidlaw.
Jess. I know Jess.
She is a great girl, plays defense. And then we have Tessa Singleton, who's also a sophomore. She plays goalie. And Tessa's from Pierre.
Okay.
And she actually transferred down from SDSU and is playing down there now.
Oh, so they should play down there.
Yeah.
Well, and there is some club hockey going on in South Dakota too. But you know, Jess Laidlaw, I remember I get to interview her last season, and she had just signed, and she was the first person to sign with that program. So that was kind of a special treat.
It's a good deal, and you know they're having their their growing pains. I think they're 2-8 right now. And the only 2 wins they have are a couple of forfeits, but a win's a win.
A win's a win.
So, you know, they're going to grow. They're going to be a great program over the years, and they have a wonderful facility down there in Fremont. If they're playing in the rink that I think they're playing in, it's a great, nice building. And what a great way to continue playing hockey.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have that available. Now, Randy, what do you think the odds are of a South Dakota school getting a legitimate hockey program?
Like a D3 or a D1? Mm-hmm. It's going to take a lot. There was a very interesting story that came out this week that Arizona State University is going to field a Division I NCAA hockey team. I think it's 2016, 2017.
And they're a desert.
They're a desert country, yeah. And they're playing club hockey right now. And somebody, some way, cornered their athletic director and said, hey, what about having a D1 program here? And he says, if we can find the financial support, we'll do it. A few guys stepped up in the Sun Devil Nation, and they're going to field a D1 hockey team in Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow. And Brookings, STSU could do one quite easily. They got that beautiful facility right there in Brookings.
I'm thinking that just the numbers they've got there and the program, they'd probably want to start out as D3, but even so, it'd be great to get an NCAA program here in South Dakota.
It would be great. Mitchell could do something too. I'm not sure they've got that facility. Anyway, it'd be nice to see some of the schools looking that direction because, as we talked about, this facility, Brandon may be getting a new one, the beautiful facility in Brookings, the updated and adding the sheet in Mitchell. We hear rumors that Rapid City may be getting a new facility. Hockey's going to just continue to explode.
It is.
And why not keep some of those good athletes in the state going to our schools here?
Absolutely. It's a challenge. It's a lot of financial support that's needed. And you got to have coaching, you got to have players. I mean, there's a whole big infrastructure that you have to build. But I'm not saying it's impossible because it's certainly possible. But it's going to take a lot to do that.
Well, there might even be some Minnesota kids that want to get out there.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Anyway.
Well, that's really it for the gals right now.
Okay.
So I want to move on to junior hockey. talking first about the North American Hockey League teams, and I've got a fairly easy week with the two South Dakota teams, the Brookings Blizzard and the Aberdeen Wings, because they played each other this weekend.
That makes it easy.
It's easy. They had a home and home, played Friday night in Brookings and Saturday night in Aberdeen. Friday night, the Blizzard took the win 5-0.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's big. They've been
huge.
struggling.
They needed that, didn't they?
They needed that big time.
Of course, Aberdeen didn't.
No, but we'll talk about that in a
Okay.
minute. Brookings scored 4 goals in the third period for the win. So it was a pretty evenly played game through the first 2 periods.
Yeah.
And then 4 goals, boom, boom, boom in the third period. Zach Glinke had a 3-point night with a goal and 2 assists. Ryan Kubik got the win for Brookings in net. It's a name I haven't heard before, so I think they brought a new goaltender.
Yeah, I haven't met him yet.
He stopped 23 shots, and then Andrew Shortridge took the loss for Aberdeen, stopping 26 of 31. So, honestly, Brookings got 12 more or 10 more shots than Aberdeen did, and that's a first. That hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah, they're doing something a little different over there. Well, good for them.
Good for them.
Go Blizz, huh?
So Saturday night they all took a bus, went up to Aberdeen, or maybe 2 buses, I don't know. And the Wings battled in a back and forth game to grab a 5-4 overtime shootout win. So it went through 60 minutes of regular hockey.
Wow.
5 minutes of bonus hockey, and then 5 deep into the shootout to determine the winner.
Oh, that really cheapens up the ticket, doesn't it?
Yeah, boy.
That makes it a lot of fun.
A lot more hockey for the money. Bjorn Sigurdsson had, or Sigurdsson. I'm not well.
Sigurdsson. I don't know.
It's that Swedish name
Bjorn.
there. Bjorn. There we go. Bjorn. He had 3 points for the Wings with 2 goals and an assist. Joe Anderson had two goals, and Bo Michaud had 2 assists for the Blizzard. And then Chad Catt took the win, stopping 24 of 28 shots for Aberdeen. Ryan Kubik had the shootout loss, stopping 34 of 38 shots.
Wow.
Now, here's the interesting thing. With that split, the Blizzard earned 3 points on the weekend because they got 2 standing points for the win and then another standing point for the overtime loss.
Oh, wow.
And Aberdeen got 2 points for the win, and since the first game didn't have an overtime, they didn't get anything for that.
Okay.
So actually, Brookings gained a standings point, and Aberdeen stayed the same. Stayed level.
So where are they at now?
All right, so Brookings is still in the bottom of the league right now. They are at 20 points, though. Aberdeen is still in third place with 26 points. Minot and Austin actually flip-flopped the top space this last weekend.
The Minotauros took the lead.
The Minot Toros and the Austin Bruins. I always, you hear that and you go, Austin, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But it's all good. But it's a pretty tight, 9 points separating first place from fifth place
this early
in the Central.
Yeah. Big
time. It's going to be a great season. If you haven't had a chance to go and see a North American League game, go ahead and go. They're great. It's great hockey.
I've been over and caught a couple of the Blizzards games. They've been a blast. I'm still looking forward to getting up to Aberdeen for a Wings game.
Yeah, I have been, believe it or not, I've watched a game in Austin. I had a family friend that played for the Bruins last year, so we all hopped in the family truckster and drove over to Austin one evening for a game. And I've watched a game in Brookings. I have watched a game in Aberdeen, and I saw a game in Bismarck last couple years ago. So
you've seen most of them now.
I've tried. I haven't been to Minot yet. Got to get to Minot.
Minot for the Toros. It's Minot Toros?
The Minot Toros. It's an interesting,
isn't a Minotauro some kind of a Greek? Oh, Minotaur.
Minotaur, yeah.
A Minotaur is a Greek mythological creature.
We just don't know.
Yeah.
You go up there, it's a dinosaur. So.
Okay.
I'm thinking they have something, I don't know. Something oil related.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Fossil fuels.
There we go. All right, on to the Sioux Falls Stampede. And the Stampede last night at the Denny took on second place Dubuque. And it looked like it was going to be one of the best games, a really, really solid matchup. When you consider that a few weeks back, the Stampede took Cedar Rapids right down to the wire, and Cedar Rapids is the first place team in the East. Cedar Rapids actually got beat by Dubuque the other night, so we're thinking, this is going to be a really, really good team, a really, really good game. And, for the most part, it was a pretty good game. but it was a very, very defensive game. So if you don't like defensive hockey, you didn't like the game last night. A total of only 42 shots on goal for both teams combined.
Together. Wow.
So one team had 20, and I think that was the Stampede had 22, and I believe it was 22 for the Stampede and 20 for the Dubuque, for the Saints. Dubuque absolutely dominated the first period. They had a lot of solid chances. It was really kind of a night of strange goals, though. The first goal for the Saints was at 1:11 of the first period, so it was scored relatively early.
Yeah, that's pretty early.
A shot taken from behind the goal line in the corner. Shot out in front, hit the goaltender, went up in the air, came down, hit a player in front of the net, and then bounced in. One of the strangest goals I've ever seen, and I was doing video scoring last night, so I had to try and figure out who scored the goal.
Who do you give credit in that situation?
Well, you give credit to the person that shot the puck.
That's what I would
the
say.
The last player,
legitimate attempt.
Yeah, and it was hard. It took I was still watching that one, trying to figure it out when the Stampede scored a goal. So yeah, it was interesting, but we got it all figured out. The Herd did score at 2:56 mark of the first. Jack Suter from Joey Rotz. Another strange goal. The puck goes into the goaltender's pad. It's as close as I could tell in the video. It was sitting under his pad, and then somebody took another whack, and all of a sudden it's in the back of the net. So all I could see was the puck hitting the back of the net coming from someplace.
And the light going off.
And the light going on. Yeah, it was just weird. So that was strange.
So we're 1-1 there.
Yeah, 1-1.
Okay.
And then another strange goal in the first period. The Saints, it was really bizarre. A puck was shot from the point, so shot from the defenseman out on the blue line. And it was a high shot, and it appeared to be hit by a high stick in front of the net. Now, upon review, and I looked at it a couple different ways, I couldn't really tell where it hit his stick. If it hit the tip of his stick, the blade of his stick, it was a good goal. And I think that's where it hit.
Wow.
The referee and the two linesmen actually discussed it for about 5 minutes, trying to determine was it a good goal or wasn't it a good goal. And eventually they pointed to the center box and said it's a good goal.
Yeah.
So, like I said, night of strange goals. Second period was much stronger for the Stampede, but no goals scored in the second. And in the third, Dubuque actually scored 2 more goals, including an empty netter at the end, for a 4-1 win. Stefanos Lekas took the loss-in goal for the Stampede, but Stefanos looked pretty good again. So,
wow, strange night.
Strange night. So right now, Sioux Falls is still sitting in 5th place with 15 points, right 3 points behind Fargo, and they play Fargo this Wednesday night up in Fargo at the Scheels Center up there.
Okay.
So,
well, hopefully they'll get them Stampede.
It's going to be an interesting
Go Herd.
week. It's going to be an interesting week.
All right. Well, we have that kind of wraps it up. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to check on the Rush out in Rapid. Have you got any updates on what they've been up to?
I do not. I neglected to check that as well, but if I get a chance, I'll.
We have a few catching up to do.
Yeah.
For next week.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange one.
So. Well, and when we had all the stuff to catch up with from last week. So, well, we'll be getting started off here soon with varsity hockey.
Yeah.
It'll be hockey everywhere.
Varsity hockey, league hockey, Pee-wees, Bantams, everybody. And all of these groups need volunteers.
Yes, they do.
To run the games. And as an off-ice official for the Stampede, I'm very, very passionate about off-ice officials and how that works.
Now, what is an off-ice official?
Okay, so you have on-ice officials. Those are the guys. Those are the referees. Those are the guys that wear the stripes and the helmets.
Okay.
And they have the skates and the whistles.
All right.
Okay. Then you have the off-ice officials, and the off-ice officials they're an extension of the on-ice crew, and what they are is they're the people who are running the penalty box, keeping score, just kind of tracking everything about the game, and helping the on-ice officials do their job.
Okay.
So it's kind of an interesting gig, to be honest with you. And not everybody can do it.
Yeah, and it's not one of those that there's a lot of glory attached to it.
No, matter of fact, there's much much malignment if you
I'm
really want to know
sure.
the truth. I have a great time doing it, but even last night at the Stampede game, there were a few of the off-ice officials getting just a ton of grief from some of the coaches last night. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good deal, but c'est la vie.
Yeah. Well, you need everybody there to make the game go smoothly and to help control everything. So, what are some of the positions with the off-ice officials?
Well,
What do they do?
there's several.
Okay.
The primary ones that we talk about, first of all, and I actually, if you go out onto the USA Hockey website, you can find a booklet called the Off-Ice Officials Manual.
Okay.
And it's free to download. It's a great short read, and it really kind of explains the whole process and also what's expected of the off-ice officials. One of the things that I am very passionate about when it comes to this is that the off-ice officials understand the rules. They need to know the rule book, maybe not quite as much as the referees do, but they really need to understand what they're doing, because it can make the game a whole lot of a headache for the on-ice officials if you've got people running the penalty boxes and open the gates at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I've often wondered when I've been to some of the games and seen parents that have been running the penalty box area, what kind of training they give them for that.
there really isn't a lot, unfortunately, and that's something that I think, when I started working with the Stampede, they actually had me shadow each position 1 or 2 full games before they would let me run a position there. And I've been doing high school hockey and pee-wee hockey as an off-ice official here for 15 years.
They want to make sure you knew what you were doing.
They want to make sure I knew what I was
Good.
doing. So, but the primary things are that they are an extension of the on-ice crew. They're a liaison between the on-ice officials and the teams. So they're the people that kind of deal with the score sheets and all that roster stuff that has to go on. They monitor the behavior in and around the scorer's bench and the penalty benches. So really that penalty box person who thinks they have an easy job and can just stand up and watch the game from right there by the glass, their real job is to make sure that everything that happens inside that box is kosher. So,
and that wouldn't be the most fun, but somebody needs to do that.
somebody needs to do it. They have to remain impartial. They need to know their role, and they need to know the rules. I mean, those are kind of the whole gamut. So, the type of off-ice officials, you asked me that a moment ago. First one is the game timekeeper.
Okay.
The guy that runs the clock, the scoreboard.
Important, very important.
Absolutely. The primary job is to keep the game time running on the scoreboard clock. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't think about is that what happens if the scoreboard fails? And it happened in the barn a couple times.
Well, do you remember, there are 2 clocks that ran different times.
Exactly.
That was confusing.
So the key thing there is that person should have a stopwatch, a whistle, and a pen and paper. Now, I was working a Stampede game the other night as the PA announcer, and the horn didn't work during the pregame. So my official game timekeeper hands me a whistle and says, blow the whistle on the microphone because we need to blow the horn, and that's the only way you can do it.
That works.
Blew a few eardrums, but it's all good now.
Or a little can of air.
So the next, and one of the least glorified roles that there is over there is the scorer, the official scorekeeper for the game. This is the person that keeps the official game score sheet. That wonderful piece of paper, 4-part carbon that you're writing with a pen, and it usually gets to be a mess.
They're done that way and not on computers?
The official sheet in South Dakota is kept on paper.
Okay.
And they do a live version of it that's on a computer.
Okay.
The live is not official. It's just a courtesy.
All right.
So the official scorer is responsible for obtaining all the rosters for the teams, also obtaining the coach's signatures, and that's probably one of the most forgotten pieces in that is they don't get the coach to sign it. One of the things that has to be determined for legal reasons, I guess is the best way to, for rules reasons, is who is the official head coach for the game that day. The team gets 15 penalties, the head coach has to serve a suspension the next game. And so you got to know who that head coach is before the game starts. Because I've seen it before where if it's not decided, the assistant coach can sit. And that's not the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
The official scorer needs to document every goal, every assist, every penalty, every timeout, basically anything that happens with the game. It's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work.
And then after the game, they need to obtain the signatures from the officials, from the game officials, and distribute the copies of the score sheet.
Now, is the official score, is that also the official stats?
For our purposes within youth hockey, it is.
Okay.
Now, when you get into junior hockey, it's a whole different world, and I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
That's a whole different thing.
Interesting.
Now, the other off-ice officials that would be involved here locally are the penalty box officials, the penalty bench attendants, or what they are officially called.
Penalty bench attendant.
Penalty bench attendant. That's from the USA Hockey Rulebook for off-ice officials. They're in charge of opening and closing the penalty bench door. They work closely with the timekeeper to make sure that the penalty situations are handled properly. And then, once again, they report those rules violations that we were talking about, or player misbehavior, to the referee. It's up to them to make sure that if there's misconduct that happens back there, that they report it to the on-ice official so that the on-ice official can do something about it.
Okay.
And
So,
go ahead.
you can have misconduct on the penalty bench and get another penalty?
Yes, you can.
Oh, wow.
Yes, you can. Yeah, and it's something that...
Well, can you get out early for good behavior?
No.
Okay.
No. Unfortunately, that's not the way it
All
works.
right.
Last but not least, then, they do, in many times, I know that they do in our games that we play here, they assist the official scorekeeper by tracking shots on goal. So each one of the penalty bench attendants will take a goal, and it'll be their responsibility to track how many shots occur on that
Okay.
net. Also, then, the last one locally that we have is the PA announcer, the public address announcer. It's my job. Pre-game, they usually have some sort of a sportsmanship announcement that they do to, tell everybody this is a USA Hockey facility and don't bang on the walls and you have to remain so many feet back from the glass and just kind of all this stuff.
Okay.
I have that pre-recorded, one less thing I have to read. Also then, pre-game, they announce the lineups for each team. They announce the on-ice, and kind of a new thing that they're asking us to do is to announce the off-ice officials. Who's on the official team? During the game, they announce the scoring, who scored the goal, and who assisted on the goal. Whatever was reported to them by the referees. And then in-game, they also announce the penalties for the game. Many times that person also plays the music. And so,
You're one of the multitaskers or taskers that can accomplish that.
Yeah, well, I usually do 2 of these to myself.
Yeah.
So, and my philosophy's always been, if I can free up a parent to watch their kid play, then I'm going to let them do it.
And it's really tough to stay focused on those tasks when your own kid's on the ice.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, that's when a lot of people get scheduled.
And then we have 3 other kind of positions that are out there, and these are mostly used in higher levels. Goal judge, which is the guy that turns the light on.
And they have those at the varsity tournament?
They have those at the varsity tournament. Every junior hockey arena in the country will have a goal judge. A lot of times you'll see him, if you go up and watch a Minnesota high school hockey game, there'll be a goal judge. So it's really an interesting position in that they don't have a lot to say other than did the puck cross the goal line. And ultimately, the on-ice officials have the last word on that.
Right.
So they can be consulted, but...
So if you're the goal judge and you've got the switch right there to turn the light on, do you wait for the referee to signal that that's a goal?
No.
Or do you turn the light on to say that the puck's in the back of the net?
You turn the light on to say that you saw the puck cross the goal line.
Okay. And the referee then determines whether it was a good goal or...
Yes.
Okay.
If it went in on time, if he thought he lost sight of it, then it won't be a goal. I mean, it's a whole bunch of different things that can happen there. Then we have the last gambit, and that's the assistant scorekeepers. The assistant scorekeepers are people like we have for the Stampede. We have a team of 11 people that work the off-ice officials for the Stampede game. Everybody that we talked about so far, plus we have scorekeepers that work upstairs. I'm doing play review. That's normally my job if I'm not on PA. There's a person who tracks plus minus, who looks at the players that are on the ice when a goal is scored. Plus, if your team scored the goal, minus if you let the goal in.
And that's that's different with the stats, keeping
Yeah.
that information. So every player that's on the ice when you score gets a plus.
Yes.
And if you're on the ice when your team gets scored on, every player on the
Ice.
team that got scored on gets a negative.
Yes, and the only difference in that is if it was a power play goal or a shorthanded goal, there's no plus or minus given for that. It's just even strength goals.
Okay.
Now, the other people that we have working are the people that actually track the official shots on goal. And it's not just about the shot going on the net, it's also about player taking a shot but blocked by another player in front of the goal. Player taking a shot, hits the pipe and goes off. You know, so these are
That's the shots
attempted.
on goal.
There's shots on goal, which happen between that pipe, and then there's the attempted shots on goal, which they're also tracking.
Shots, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a whole weirdness that's out there, but it's a lot of work, a lot of fun.
And then what about the blocks?
Block shots are tracked as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of, and it's not like the game slows down to let you catch up.
No. And you know, we have the luxury at the Denny in being able to contact the replay people in the production booth and talk to them and say, hey, could you play that back for us a little bit? We need to check on something.
Oh, that's nice. to
So
have that.
yeah, so we can actually go back and look at stuff and make sure that it's right. Kind of a
Then
big
you know
deal.
you've got valid stats,
Absolutely.
and it's all about the stats in the long run, isn't it?
It is all about the stats. Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Well, those
that's-
are all volunteer positions for the most part,
all
right?
volunteer positions, even for the Stampede. You know, they don't pay their off-ice officials. Well, I shouldn't say that. They pay us in a pregame meal and tickets to the game. And
That's
so,
all you want, isn't it,
yeah,
Randy?
it is.
I know.
It is. We get to watch hockey from the best seat in the house, and at the same time help out the team. It's a lot of fun.
That's wonderful to be able to be a part of it all.
And if you want to be an off-ice official, contact your local association. I know they're looking for people to help. Because I can't count the number of times that I have been at an arena or a rink someplace, and they had one person running both penalty boxes, or they had nobody doing PA.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
The PA is really nice.
Yeah.
Every position is important there, and you know, one of the things we talk about frequently, Randy, is that there are so many ways to be involved with your sport that you love, and it doesn't have to be playing on the ice. It can be coaching. It can be officiating on the ice. It can be an off-ice official. It can be doing sports commentary. There's a lot of different things you can do to help promote your sport and stay involved. Photography, videography. We really encourage people to explore the different options out there. And we're going to be getting some people here with us over the next few weeks that'll talk about some of those other positions that they do. So,
very great. Very great.
well, I think that wraps it up for the week.
I believe it does. A lot to cover, but you know, there's always a lot going on, and league season starts this weekend.
Yeah, hockey, hockey, hockey. Let's go. Well, this is Carol from Hockey 605, and I'm here with Randy Preston, Mr. Hockey, signing off with This Week on the Ice. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great night.